A long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, one man, Kyle Mann to be exact, woke up one morning and decided he was going to save the world via semi-acceptable, quasi-scientific, allegedly educational written satire. Ben and Rob sit down with the man, the myth, and the legend himself, Kyle Mann, editor-in-chief of the Babylon Bee. Exclusive interview with Edge of Wonder.
Hey everyone, welcome to an amazing episode on Edge of Wonder where we have a very special guest, Kyle Mann, who is the chief editor at the Babylon Bee. It's great to have you, Kyle, with us.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys.
Kyle, man, we love your work over at the Babylon Bee. And before we get started, I just wanted to read your bio to everyone because I think it's really important. So, Kyle was created in an orc spawning pit beneath the Tower of Orthunk near the end of the Third Age. Saruman, the many-colored, drew upon all his dark powers to imbue Kyle with the ability to write satire of semi-acceptable quality from time to time, and also pillage many small villages in Gondor. Kyle oversees and approves all content posted to the site and writes a good bit of it himself. And to note, probably the saddest part of that bio is that I understood all of it.
Yes, everything that we post on the site is 100% accurate and fact-checked by Snopes. So that is completely accurate bio, and you can take that to the bank. So
we're in good shape. Awesome.
We are. So Kyle, how does it feel to be working at one of the greatest media outlets of our time?
Oh man, greatest media outlet. So we're journalists. We're friends of the people, the journalists who bring you the fake news. So it's my associates often say that it feels like we work at Willy Wonka's chocolate factory. Like we're just in this. We work at this factory of that just spews out all this beautiful chocolate comedy for everybody, and it is kind of, for a long time, it was kind of this mysterious entity. Nobody knew who was behind the Babylon Bee. It's, nobody ever goes in, nobody ever comes out. Like, what do they do in there? What happens? And and so it is a lot of fun. It's definitely a job. It's definitely something that we have to work hard at. But yeah, I feel really lucky to just have a job where I just get to write jokes all day. So yeah, it's a lot of fun for sure.
Seriously, we're always joking around too, saying like, oh, that would be like the greatest job, like working at the Babylon Bee. These guys must have so much fun. But of course, people say that with us too. But as you know, it's a lot of hard work doing what we're all doing, right?
Yes. I get that a lot. People saying like, I can't believe you work there. What's it like? And yeah, again, you got this image that we're like swimming in chocolate rivers and we got the candy trees and all that. It's I think, isn't there a Simpsons episode where Bart he gets to see inside Mad magazine offices,
All right. And
he's got this picture of what it's going to be like, and they're all, and then it turns out to be true. They're riding unicycles around and juggling, and so. But anything you do, you can make stressful and make into a job if you have the wrong perspective about it. So I try to keep the good perspective that ultimately I have a very, very good life and I get to like make fun of everybody all the time. So that's a lot of fun.
That's funny.
So I think a lot of people at home kind of want to know what the history of Babylon Bee is and kind of what the name is. Can you just...
Or what the name means.
Yeah, what the name means, sorry.
Sure. Yeah, so the Babylon Bee, we were trying to decide between a few different names at the beginning when it launched, and Babylon Bee is stuck. It's got a good sound to it. Is launched kind of as a Christian satire site, and Babylon has a lot of biblical significance as the place where all the Jews were in exile for years. And so that's kind of like how we felt at the time. It was during the 2016 election, and things were going crazy. And so we definitely felt like we were in exile, in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
And so that it's kind of supposed to be these crazy dispatches or reports from a bizarre foreign place, like it sometimes feels like we live in. So that was the idea. It launched 4.5 years ago. I started writing right from the very beginning on day one. and just started emailing in articles, and eventually got brought on as head writer and part-time writer, and then managed to quit my day job 2 years ago, and now I do this full time. So that's basically the story. And it's just grown and exploded, and kind of was an overnight success that's just gotten bigger and bigger. So we're very blessed, very lucky to have gotten that kind of success.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So growing up, did you think you would help change the world through comedy, or were you kind of like us and just watched Lord of the Rings and Star Wars 24/7 with very little ambition?
Yeah, the latter. I definitely do the latter. But I mean, it's funny when people say like, "Oh, you're changing the world, you're impacting the world." I don't feel like it. Like I know that people say that, and I know that it's definitely having a cultural impact. But to me, it's like I'm just these little jokes that I'll wake up in the morning and think, "Oh, maybe we could do something about that," and then it just goes huge. You get a lot of people sharing it or retweeting it or whatever, and it's just I don't know. I try to keep a healthy perspective on it, that we just tell jokes, but yeah, like we'll get like old guys will a bunch of old people will like hand write us thank you notes, so you get a handwritten, and they'll say thank you for your ministry. And we're like, well, it's not really ministry. Like we tell jokes, but so we try to keep a healthy perspective on it.
That's awesome.
Well, speaking of Star Wars, I know you guys have a YouTube channel, actually, and I had no idea you had a YouTube channel until recently. And oh my gosh, I highly recommend everyone go subscribe to your YouTube channel. It's really funny. You even interviewed people like Dinesh D'Souza, and you just tell some really funny things. But I heard that you pretty much are a bigger geek than we are, because you seem to create one of the first Star Wars fan pages, web pages ever in like 1997, which is kind of like the dark ages of the internet for some of the millennials out there.
I'm gonna go ahead and guess that the name of that Star Wars fan page was Kylo Mann, wasn't it?
Well, hey, Kylo did not exist at the time.
I was gonna say that. Kylo didn't exist.
That's not true. Not true, because I read about Kylo Ren when I was in high school. I was reading Star Wars books, and he existed in some of those books.
I don't think so.
He did?
Really?
I read the book.
Interesting. I didn't know that.
Fact check. Someone get Snopes on the phone.
Yeah.
We need a fact check.
We'll definitely find the truth that way.
Yeah, I was a huge nerd, and I still am a huge nerd, and I think my dad helped me program some Star Wars site, and it was like the bright yellow text, probably Comic Sans.
Excellent.
On a black star field,
With some like glittery gifs that were like blinking.
Spinning Death Star gif, yeah.
What was those websites, like Angel Fire or something, or?
Angel Fire.
It was Angel Fire, right?
GeoCities.
Yeah, GeoCities. Oh my gosh, yeah. Do you know what those are?
I mean, I remember I was all over the internet.
No, they're like it was kind of like before WordPress.
Yeah.
So you would use these to like build your site on it or whatever. But anyway, that's really
I guarantee I was on that site, that Star Wars site. I was such a geek when I was in it.
I probably was too, honestly. I bet I was. So that's hilarious. And kind of continue on the Star Wars theme. Do you guys have a video on your YouTube page that is hilarious? It's titled CNN. This is what they're saying. CNN says, Death Star destroys Alderaan in most peaceful demonstration. Mostly peaceful demonstration. It is just so
that was
funny.
I can't believe, we kind of mocked, someone did the mostly peaceful thing or the peaceful thing about the protests like a couple months ago. And then, so we did that article. I'm actually wearing this is my Alderaan shot first t-shirt.
Nice.
Right now.
Alderaan shot first.
My Alderaan shot first message. So, the Empire did nothing wrong. But I couldn't believe today that they doubled down on it and did like the fiery but mostly peaceful protest. And you had the huge flames in the background. It's just
I saw. What was that?
It's so hard. It's so hard to write something more clarity than that.
Yeah, I think it was today, right? That CNN.
Yeah.
I was like watching that and I was like, what is going on? I I couldn't believe it. It was like the guy is standing behind the apocalypse. And he's like, these peaceful protests. Like, what the heck?
I seriously was like, is this an Onion video? And I literally had to double check that it was like literally CNN or MSN or something.
The craziest thing is that people fall for that. Like, that's actually how funny the news is right now. Like, the real news is that funny and people are eating it up like it's true.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's the hardest thing about our job too, is that real news is so bizarre. We have to stay ahead of it.
Yeah.
G.K. Chesterton in 1908, he wrote something like, the big problem with satire is that reality has become too absurd to be satirized. And, that was 112 years ago. I mean, it's like, well, if it was a problem then, it's even more of a problem now, because it is hard to write. We'll write something and then like the next day, like the exact same thing will happen. So it's pretty bizarre.
You guys, in one of your YouTube videos, you actually talked about the James Kamala Harris, the wrestler. He sent that to me, not your video, but he sent me the article of the wrestler, Kamala dying. And I thought it was an Onion or a Babylon Bee article at first. And he's like, no, this dude, the wrestler actually died the same time that she became VP. And you guys had the most hilarious video on YouTube about it.
Actually, I was watching that video where you guys were talking about it, and you guys were joking around back and forth, riffing off of one another. And then one of you guys were like, yeah, and he just sat there and didn't move and got like killed or whatever. And I was like, because actually he had both legs amputated before he died. And I was like, oh my gosh. It was like, anyway, it was funny but crazy.
Too soon.
Yeah.
Too soon. But it was a really funny, the way you guys did it overall was really funny. So
yeah,
that was funny. It was really good.
That was just the weirdest thing when that happened. Like I was. Kamala Harris, like his name was James Kamala Harris. Like it was just, I was having a really hard time processing that,
Yeah, and if you were on Twitter at the time, you see that all this hashtag like R.I.P. Kamala, or Kamala, or Kamala or whatever, and you're like looking at it like, what? This is crazy. It was like the day after, or the day that Kamala was selected as the vice presidential candidate.
Right.
You couldn't write a script.
You seriously can't. I know.
Like real life is just like a Babylon Bee article right now. I tell people that all the time.
So.
Yeah, it's bizarre.
It really is.
Yeah. For me, I could hardly believe this is really happening in the U.S. This issue is huge. This is going on for decades. We all see the damage the Chinese Communist Party is bringing to the world. I think we are really at the very, very important juncture of the moment of the history. They infiltrate every circle, every sector of America, and I think they almost succeeded without us realizing it.
Why do you think China wants to control the U.S.?
If they can't take over America, they take over the world. That's as simple as that.
We were both kind of curious what news organizations do you follow?
That's a great question. So we actually launched one, or the original founder of our site launched a real news site. So he kind of, the founder of our site left. He didn't really leave, but kind of stepped back 2 years in, and he went off and eventually launched a site called Discern, which is DISRN. And
I think I heard of that.
His whole goal was to report the news, not really without bias, because there's not really a way to report news without bias. Mm-hmm. Everything from article selection, what you choose to cover, what you don't cover, even that you're going to have your intrinsic biases in there. So, but his goal was really to just be very brief in his news coverage, and just kind of just give you the facts. So a lot of times when I'm trying to research a Babylon Bee article, I need to find out like where something happened, so I can write the little byline, or, maybe a couple of names from, I just need like some references. I'm making up news, but I try to ground it in reality. So I have to get little references. And you go click on a CNN article or a Fox News article or a New York Times article, and sometimes there's so much editorializing. You try to read through it, and it's like, you didn't even tell me where this happened. You didn't even tell me when this happened. It's just like the journalist is just barfing up their opinions for 1,000 words, and you're like, you didn't say anything. Mm-hmm. So the cool thing about Discern is that it kind of just tells you like, here's where something happened, here's the people involved, and it's like 200 words, 300 words, little news briefs. So I appreciate that a lot. I think it's important to kind of get news from multiple sources. I like, if you see what the far left says about something, you see what the right says about something, you see what some of the more centrist things say about something, you're like, okay, well, the truth is probably somewhere in that middle range. So that's kind of what I try to do is just look at what different people are saying, and know what their angles are, know what their biases are. So
yeah.
That's typically how I do it.
So, kind of piggybacking off of that question, for the articles that you guys write, where do you guys draw your inspiration?
Yeah, inspiration's a funny thing. Anybody who writes stuff, it's like, it's almost magic. You have all these like ideas. We were talking about watching Star Wars and Lord of the Rings and stuff. You have all these ideas that are just floating around in your head, and then when like two ideas just come smacking together, that's when the magic happens. Every morning, I'm digging through the current events pile. Just, you kind of got to see like what's worth covering, what's worth making fun of, what's going to be funny in 6 months, and what's just going to be funny today. And sometimes you do have to write those ones that are like the hot current event for today. But it's hard to do that too, because like, okay, I'll look back on a Babylon Bee article from a year ago, and I'm like, I don't even remember what that was about. Like,
yeah,
it's like at the time everybody was freaking out about this or that, and you're like, what was that controversy? Nobody remembers it because news is here and gone in 24 hours. So it's a lot of picking and choosing what to cover, and then you throw it out there with some of our other writers, and you kind of see who can come up with something, or collaborate and develop each other's ideas. So it comes from a lot of different places, I think.
That's cool. That's cool.
So I'm pretty much dying to know this, and I think probably a lot of people at home who like haven't watched you guys on YouTube and are kind of just seeing your headlines every day. They're wondering this. So what does everyone at the Bee really feel about The Onion? Is the competition real? I mean, do you guys have a dartboard up with an actual onion on it, and you guys like throw darts at it every day, and it reeks? Like, what is the situation?
Yeah, what's funny is I'll do a lot of interviews that people will say like, oh, I used to follow The Onion back when they were funny, and then you guys came on, you're so much funnier, and I get that comment a lot, but I don't know. Maybe it's because I'm the guy writing it or writing a lot of it. It's hard to see, like, it's hard to laugh at your own joke, So you look at it and you're like, man, The Onion's way funnier than I am. That's how I feel. I feel like they're way funnier than I am. But just because you look at someone else's joke and I can appreciate like the hard work that goes into an Onion headline. And what's funny too is like, the Onion headlines that don't do all that well, like on social media, that they get a couple hundred shares or whatever, those are the funniest ones to me. These little niche jokes about daily life, that I really like that kind of stuff. Whereas some of the more red meat jokes, I don't connect with this much. But yeah, no, we all like The Onion. I mean, you always respect someone who's in comedy and writing comedy because it's a freaking hard job a lot of the time. You do a lot of work writing a ton of waste. I don't remember if I'd said this before, but I'll write 100 headlines to drill down to the one joke, the perfect joke to put up.
Yeah.
So I really respect those guys, and they really forged the way, for a lot of news satire sites like us.
Yeah, people don't understand that headlines are really the most important part of even our videos. I mean, we'll get into the censorship aspect of all of this very soon, but before we were censored, we would literally spend 3 hours coming up with maybe 25 headlines just for one video, because that was the most important thing. We knew that that's what everyone sees first. They see a thumbnail and they see the headline. So, but now with all the censorship, we don't spend that much time crafting headlines, but a lot of people don't realize that that's the thing that really has the most attention out of everything. Because you can have this great long article, but if you have a really horrible headline, no one's going to read the article. So it takes a long time to really craft a perfect headline.
Yeah, absolutely. And the way that our kind of satire works, the headline is the joke, right? I mean, that's
exactly
that's the format. It is the headline has to be. Now, here's the other challenge, right? The headline has to be very funny in itself, and it has to make you laugh all by itself.
Yeah.
But it should also have a creative enough idea that someone's going to want to click and see how you develop it in the copy. And so that's very difficult to strike that balance. Because you'll get headlines that'll do really well on social media because they're just intrinsically funny. But you're not going to get, it's like, okay, well, it's not that creative, or you're just kind of making this point. I understand it, and they'll just move on. They won't even click on it, So it's really hard to strike that balance. And then we try to make the copy funny too. There's a lot of great jokes within the article, but if the headline doesn't get shared, no one's going to click on it and see it. So it's a very hard form to find.
I have to say, I'm never disappointed when I go into a Babylon Bee article and read it. It's always I always feel like, you guys do your job. Like, as soon as the headline gets me and I go in, I start reading, I'm laughing my ass off by the end of it,
Seriously, actually, you guys,
I hope so.
You guys did that really well with the Cracker Jack one. Where it was like, Cracker Jack was going to change his name to not offend everybody, and then you had this you had a great headline and a really good article to go along with it. It was so hilarious. We were sharing the heck out of that one. So
yeah. I think that's our most shared Babylon Bee article of all time.
I can understand why.
We were recording a podcast, and I hadn't written an article that day, and so my head's thinking, what can I write about? I think we had some Cracker Jacks or something, and I was like, oh, cracker, that's offensive. And we it was one of those magic moments. I was like, I can't believe it got shared that much.
It's like genius. I mean, the timing of it, the way you came out with it, I was like, dude, this almost seems superhuman. Like the fact of how you crafted that so fast, and how it came out. I was just like, whoa. Hey everybody, we hope you have enjoyed our interview with Kyle Mann from the Babylon Bee so far.
Yeah, Ben and I are pretty sure all three of us crash landed here in the same space pod a long time ago in a galaxy not so far away.
We probably did. We want to thank all of you guys for joining us here for the first part of the interview, and let you know that you can see the rest of the interview in its entirely on
edgeofwonder.tv. Yeah, the whole interview is over an hour long. Also, while you're there, you guys can start to binge watch the first 2 seasons of Relics of Power before the season 3 premiere this week.
We have received so many amazing reviews and comments on the Relics of Power series. We have worked really hard to bring you the highest production quality for Relics of Power, and we are so happy that all of you guys are enjoying it.
For sure. You guys keep us motivated to keep bringing you the hardest hitting truths and information on the daily. So enough from us. Follow the link below to finish watching this exclusive interview with Kyle from the Babylon Bee. Y'all are gonna love what's coming up next.
Yep, and until then, we'll see you guys all out
on the edge
of edgeofwonder.tv.
That's right.
Relics of Power. You've already seen seasons 1 and 2. Now don't miss the epic conclusion to the Relics of Power series.
The biggest secret of all in the Grail mysteries is that the Grail is not a secret.
Hitler wasn't the first person to look into the Grail mysteries, of course.
How has the Grail stayed in the hands of good and not been used for evil?
Was this on purpose?
Secret societies have been around forever.
Anyone who looks into the Holy Grail experiences a journey of their own. All of life is a journey.
Relics of Power. Season 3 premieres September 24th, only on edgeofwonder.tv.